The creature was moving so violently that he feared it would break his arm. Because he had to, he tried to keep him away. Despite the mud, the other men wanted to help. To free the dog, they moved in from both sides. After hours of hard work, the animal was becoming more frightened. Jim yelped, and they wondered what they had done. Broken Arrow had beautiful lakes, forests, mountains, and wildlife. Jim Passmore was proud to live there and grateful for the stunning scenery. He enjoyed walking his dogs by the creek daily. Living in this wilderness was thrilling. One day, he walked down and found something unexpected. Jim walked his dogs whenever possible. He thought they should enjoy the area's beauty, but they never deviated. For years, they followed the creek. Jim and his dogs rounded the bend after walking for a few minutes on the incident day. They noticed something odd then. A tall-grassed clearing was off the path. His dogs froze and growled after smelling a strange object there. Jim noticed the oddity, but his dogs wouldn't let him approach. Jim looked curiously at his dogs and was surprised to see their hackles raised. His dogs sensed something he couldn't, so he was cautious. Jim tried to motivate them but failed. He wanted to investigate, but they would make it hard. He took his dogs home because whatever was down there could be dangerous. After dropping the dogs at the house, he ran back to the creek. Slowly approaching the clearing, he found it. The strange object became clearer as Jim walked. He soon found a large, gray box. If you like my videos, don't forget to like or subscribe. Thanks in advance. He advanced and saw more than a box. An animal crate. He looked inside despite smelling something foul. He wondered what it was doing out there and shivered as he knelt. The crate door was open, but what he saw inside shocked him. He saw something chained inside a stained blanket. Its escape left him clueless. He only found a large bite mark on the crate. Jim had heard of illegal exotic animal trade in the area and did not want to see what was chained inside. When he turned around, he felt eyes on him. Jim sweated and his heart rate increased. If he had to flee or fight, his muscles tensed. He was aware of a tree watcher. He scared it off by yelling and waving his arms. His sudden movements worked because something emerged from the rustling bushes. Jim saw it before it fled, unsettling him. Jim felt uneasy about the beaver's escape into the bushes. He followed it and wondered why his dogs wouldn't approach the crate. Was the beaver calling him? As he pursued the creature, Jim was surprised to find it unafraid. He wondered where he was going and why. Beaver led him to creek bank. Knowing the danger, Jim became uneasy when his feet sank into the soft mud. Questions flooded Jim's mind. He struggled to climb the embankment to see better. He heard a strange sound. Something big thrashed wetly. A brown mound in the water was near the bank. It struggled. Jim was curious and ran to see what it was, only to find an animal trapped in the mud. Jim was decisive. He didn't know what kind of creature it was. After examining it for a few minutes, Jim concluded that it was a giant beaver like the one who had led him there. Beavers abounded here. Jim understood everything now. The animal was trapped in mud. Jim gathered some friends to save the beaver. The group overlooked a crucial creature detail. Beavers are territorial and have attacked humans, just like this one. The animal bit one of Jim's friends as the rescue party approached, alarming everyone. The man went to the hospital because the animal could have rabies. Men stayed to free the animal. Jim devised a clever way to avoid another bite. Jim didn't know how long the animal had been trapped, but it looked vulnerable and stressed. He removed his jersey and secured it around the animal's head to cover its eyes. After struggling, the beaver calmed down. The men worked faster around the beaver. One issue remained. The animal refused to move. Because the beaver was half submerged, Jim and his team couldn't dig around it. They needed a way to lift the animal from underneath. Jim realized they needed a pulley system. Jim tied a rope around the creature's torso. They hoped this would work, right? The team realized their strategy had a major flaw. The team pulled hard, but the beaver was stuck in the mud. After days of struggling, they felt the animal move. One last massive heave lifted the beaver to safety. Jim stumbled after wiping the mud off its face. No beaver. Jim gaped as he wiped the mud off the animal's face. A sheepdog trembled beneath the mud and dirt. They were dealing with a scared dog, not an aggressive beaver. Jim gasped. Wrong. The most surprising thing was that the beaver that led him there knew what the animal was all along but still helped. Despite being trapped, the dog was fine. Since they couldn't release the dog like a beaver, they needed a new strategy. Jim understood. Jim called the Oklahoma Alliance for Animals, which took the dog immediately. Unfortunately, the dog was extremely wary of people. He had to be retrained by the rescue organization. Teddy, the big, cuddly dog, was named. Teddy's vet had bad news. The vet diagnosed Teddy with morbid obesity. This likely got him stuck in the muddy embankment. Teddy's weight was also straining his joints, making movement difficult. The vet suspected Teddy had been stuck in the creek for days, which gave him mild PTSD. Hope remained. Teddy hated most people, but he trusted one woman. Teddy was clearly impacted by the animal shelter receptionist, who visited him daily. She finally let her cuddle him without a fuss. This new behavior gave shelter workers hope that Teddy was getting used to people. They decided to help him. The shelter advertised Teddy for adoption. They were skeptical because Teddy was 8 years old and a senior dog. The public flocked to meet Teddy despite his age. Teddy found his forever home 10 months after his trauma. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in the next video.